So this is going to be a little bit of an embarrassing video for me to release because I tried to be the most vulnerable that I could possibly be throughout the entire video. And the subject of the video is what it means to be in a trap that's going to block you from living your dreams, your health, wealth, relationship, higher purpose. There's a lot of different traps that can block you from that. And you're probably in one now, at least statistically, right? Are you living your dream life right now? Are you on your way to living your dream life? If you're not, it could be because you're in a trap, and I've been in them as well. So the kind of traps that I'm gonna be talking about in this video are traps where you get up, you go to work, you grind it out, you take your commute home, and by the end of the day, you don't really have enough time to build a life that you're truly proud of and excited about. And it's really, really brutal, and it's really, really crushing. And what I suggest in the video is that if you actually want to break out of the trap, you're probably going to have to hit a point where in every spare millisecond that you have, you're working like you're trying to save the frickin' planet. Okay, like imagine if you knew that the planet was going to end, right? And you knew that you were the sole person who could save the planet, and you could only work when you're off hours, like off hours from work. How would you work? You'd just work like the Flash, like the comic book character, the Flash, just like going crazy, right? Now, in my case, I've had really big problems in my business over the years, and many of these are from my own creation. I'm first to admit that, but you can only work with the intelligence and knowledge that you have, and my knowledge has increased over the years. But whenever I've had major problems, I've worked with the knowledge that I had at that time and the paradigm I was in at that time. And from that standpoint, I would often have to work 16, 18, 20 hours a day for months straight, or in a couple cases, I've had to work just morning till night brutally for, I guess it was a couple years, and it's just savage. So during these times when I've just been in vicious, vicious pain, I would have to ask myself, do I want to succumb to the trap and never really get out of this, or do I want to give up? And there was many, many times that I wanted to give up. My dream for me personally was I wanted to create a business where we would have these beautifully produced videos, really, really high quality produced videos on the topic of social skills. And I wanted those videos to be professionally shot with big, huge crowds or in beautiful locations. Something to build a movement, something that would build a movement that other teachers could actually come around and even piggyback off of. Something that was something that took a topic that was viewed as edgy or controversial, but made it beautifully produced and big crowds and a big movement, and having many coaches involved. That was really my mission and my goal. And so to do that, it wasn't an easy thing. When you see it, it looks easy. You're like, you just set up a website, you grab your coaches, and you do it, right? But there's a huge amount of budgeting and finance and moving parts, and it's really pushed my brain to mind-numbing levels of exhaustion for many years in order to do it. But I feel like I produced something that to be honest, I feel like we made history together. It's a beautiful thing that we did. And that was my mission at that time. So having that mission and wanting to leave behind a legacy like that, that was what I dreamed about. And I had to ask myself many times on my path, do I want to let go of that dream, or do I want to make it into a reality? And I guess I just felt like I'd come so far, I didn't want to quit on it. But because we got hit, we've just taken so many severe punches with cultural changes and industry changes and different recessions and things like that. We've had, I've fought through the 2009 recession. I fought successfully, very successfully through the COVID situation that was very scary, and we fought through it beautifully with the knowledge that we have now. I have fought through cultural change, and I have fought through industry change. 2014 cultural change, and 2018 the subsequent industry changes, and I've fought through those too. And it's tough. And so during these periods when I've done that, and I just wake up and I just go to work and I just go bonkers. I'm in this zone where I'm just like all day, every day, jacked up and go. And that's like the kind of zone I get into. And the reason I like telling this story, at least from time to time, is because I feel like you at home, if you're in that trap, maybe you didn't go through what I went through. Maybe you're just in a dead-end job now, or maybe you're in a job that is actually golden handcuffs that you like, but it's not going anywhere. If you're in that situation, you're going to probably have to do that kind of work like you're trying to save the world, like kind of the way that I felt like I was trying to do. You're probably going to have to work like that to break out of it, because if you wake up and every day you're just grinding it out at work and doing your commute and you have very little spare time, you're going to probably have to get crazy like that too to break out of the trap. So in this video, I try to make any video that I do sort of like my own little kind of personal work of art. I know art's subjective, it's not the Mona Lisa, but it's like my own little personal work of art. And so what I try to do in a video is I try to go into that part of my brain that had to solve the challenge that I was confronted with. I go in that part of my brain, and what I do is I try to remove the filter. So I just remove the filter and I just access it. It's almost like a dream. You just kind of let it happen. I get in front of the crowd, and I just let it happen. And so what I did was I kind of just thought back to some of the hardest periods of my business to where I was just jacked up. Like, I mean, I'm actually not a big caffeine person, but, you know, I do a little green tea here or there, but like, you know, it's like I'm jacked up on like 90 cups of coffee or something. I'm just like in there. That's a part of me. That's a place that I've had to access when I don't have a choice. And so it's not a part of myself that I think is necessarily pleasing to watch. But I feel like what a lot of speakers do is they don't show you that. Most business people who I've met in my life, or people accomplishing anything that is difficult, they probably have a space like that they go to, but they don't show it. They don't put it out there. So for me, it was kind of a cool experience to just kind of put that out there, right? From time to time, I try to like really just kind of fire up and bang the guns and kind of show you a little bit of like the truth of it. Again, just because I feel like a lot of the time what happens is that people, they're like, how'd you get successful? They're like, I just cared about people and I gave to charity, right? It's like they just give the answer that just shuts people up. They don't tell the truth, like, yo, this was brutal. They don't want to talk about that. So I'm trying to show you that here because I'm assuming that if you're watching a long form video like this, that you really, really want to be successful. So that's why I've created this for you. And I know you're going to love it. Now, by the way, another thing I want to tell you is that if you want to be successful, the best thing that I can think of for you to do is come on one of these free events. I do events just like this all over the world. We've done the live events just like this in 265 cities and 75 countries around the world. Hundreds of thousands of people face to face, maybe over 1 million at this point, I'm checking, and tens of millions or hundreds of millions online. It's crazy. We've taught a lot of people. It's super duper epic. I don't even know how to put it. We've taught these events everywhere, all over the world. And chances are, if you live in any kind of decently populated cities, we've taught this in your city. We've been there. You could have come and learned this in person completely for free, and you didn't do it, right? So rather than putting another thing off, what I'd recommend for you to do right now is click the link below, and what you're going to see is a link to these free events that we do all over the world. I do them, but also I've got a team of people who I work with for years, and we teach the exact same stuff and work together, and we teach these all over the world. Now, on the off chance that we're not coming to your city, or even if we are, we also do free phone calls. We do this because I personally believe that you have to have person-to-person interaction. These videos can quickly become like watching a movie where you're passive and not active in the experience. So I want you to actually talk to somebody. Talk to somebody about your dreams, about your hopes, about what it is that you want to do, and how we can help you with that. So we also do a free quick little course where a team that I hired and trained to take you through a course with little videos that I do involved in that little course in person will take you through it. That's a free phone call. So you're going to see a link to both free seminars and a free phone call below. And if you do that, you can get that real life interaction that is going to put you on a path forward to changing your life. You're going to totally thank me for linking you to this because it's going to make it real rather than some weird fantasy that you're watching online. But anyway, with that said, what we're going to do right now is shoot into the video. And I want you to keep that frame in mind that sometimes in life, it is tough. You're in a trap. Ask yourself if you're in a trap, and ask yourself what kind of laser focus, world-saving mentality that you'd have to break out of it. And you know what? I bet you will. Let's do it. So yesterday what we talked about was motivation and getting deep into what motivates you. Now notice that we talked about higher self-motivation, more admirable forms of motivation, but also day-to-day life forms of motivation, and also lower forms of motivation or egoic motivation. Now, part of why I did this was so that you could learn how to indoctrinate yourself and put yourself into this sort of like full-on action-taking trance. That was part of my rationale for why I want to teach that to you. Now, the other part is that I also want you to learn how to be persuasive to other people. So what I want to show you now is how to flip that around so that you can be persuasive with other people, and not just you persuading yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So yesterday what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put I'm trying to get it to where you're like the Kool-Aid man, like running through the freaking wall in whatever it is that you're doing. But in sales, you've got to be able to do that kind of, self-indoctrination, but that has to be externally directed rather than internally directed. So the big thing with sales where people goof it up is that they're always speaking within terms of like what they want. What is it that you want? So the average person, what they're thinking is, I want money. I want a better dating life. I want attention. So, you'll see a lot of stuff where they're saying, I'll see this in my DMs, for example, where I'll see a lot of people, they'll send me DMs and say, hey, I want to ask you some advice. Hey, Owen, I want to ask you some advice. Or they say, hey, Owen, I want to pick your brain. Or they say, hey, Owen, you know what I realized? I think I need a mentor. So, will you just...
I didn't do it, it rolled over.
Okay, so they're like, will you be my they're like, well, I'm ready to be your protege, or things like that, right? And what concerns me there, and maybe that person could join a mentoring course, but that's not what they're saying. They're just saying like, they're going to be my magical protege. And so the problem what they're doing is they haven't taken the time to get out of their own head, okay? Have a seat, buddy. Okay, they haven't taken the time to get out of their own head and to think into what it is that the other person wants. Now, the problem with that, okay, we're going to teach you how to be able to like chill, okay? Have a seat. He's 9 now, so this is a big moment. Sit down. Everybody's waiting for you, okay? Okay. No. Just sit, okay? Okay, but just sit. They're all waiting while you're doing it. So, okay, so this is a perfect level thing that we're talking about here, okay? Because what's happening is, okay, so as a kid, he's like, hey, I want to move to the Jolly Rancher. That's cute as a kid, right? It's actually pretty funny. It's endearing. The problem is when a grown adult does that, and then, okay, you can sit there. So the problem is when as a kid, that's endearing because he's in his paradigm of what he wants to do right now. As a grown adult, though, what winds up happening is that you look like you're in Arrested Development. It appears like you're in Arrested Development. So when someone's like, I'm ready to be your protege, that comes across like they're still a child, which as a child, that's very cute, right? But as an adult, it's not. So as an adult, what you've got to do is you've got to become an expert at getting into the headspace of the other person. You've got to recognize their hopes, their dreams, their fears, their pain points, and you've got to be able to speak to those at this like very, very high level. Make sense, guys? Yes. Okay, so if I say to you, hey, you know what I want? I want some money because I want to be able to go shopping. And you know what I realized? Like it would be super awesome for me to go shopping and for me to go on vacation and for me to be like super rich. So like, could all of you give me money? Right? That's the level of thinking that the average person has. You guys see that? Yeah. Because they're in Arrested Development. Now, going from that standpoint though, if we wanted to put an inverse to that, how do we get into the mind of the other person? How do we get in their mind? We've got to be profiling that other person, where they're at, and what it is that they want. And then what you do is you give a hyper concentrated dose of exactly what they want. Okay, so like 90% of your time, rather than thinking about what you want, which again as a kid is cute, but as an adult, that's Arrested Development. That's like, as a kid, awesome, right? Like, if a kid knew how to do that, it'd be kind of freaky. It'd be terrifying. But if, as an adult, if you don't know how to do that, you're going to have a big problem, right? So as an example, let me give you an example in dating. A lot of us, it's easy to wrap your mind around just kind of like getting a job and then just like getting a job and then just like being a gentleman and then getting someone to be attracted to you, right? That's easy to wrap your mind around. So that's what we want, right? We're like, look, I just want to be a gentleman, get a job, and then somebody likes me. That's what we want because it's easier to understand. So the problem is, what we don't understand is all this like weird voodoo of how to understand how to get a significant other. Things like being playful and the whole validation dynamic and self-amusement and sub-communication. It's difficult. So what a lot of people will do with a lot of the older content I've taught over the years, a lot of the OG content I've taught, is people who get annoyed, they're just like, I just want to be a gentleman, and they're stuck there. They're literally just stuck there. And by the way, there's entire philosophies coming out now, particularly because when the cat is away, the mice will play. And because we can't show the definitive proof that we could over the years, like in our company, which is a huge portion of the industry, we used to be able to show that, right? But we can't now. And so now all these idiotic little theories are getting prominence because when the cat is away, the mice will play, right? We've been blocked from just showing how it is, like definitively in real proof. We can't show that anymore. So now you're getting actual philosophies where people are like, you know what the best is? You just be a gentleman and you're just a good person with a job. And then someone's gonna find you. And like, there is gonna be such a backlash on this in about 5 or 10 years when these people are lonely, they have found nobody, and they are gonna be angry. They are gonna be mad. Because what they never did was took the time to get in the mind of who they want to attract and not supplicate to them, but find a win-win, okay? Me saying, you know what I want? I just want money and vacations. Me trying to get to know what you want and find a win-win with you, that's not supplication. That's not pedestalizing you. That's not blue pill. That's reality, okay? If I say to you right now, just give me money because I want a vacation, I'm not gonna like give you what you want. I just want what I want. That's not me supplicating. That's not me pandering. That's called a win-win versus a win-lose. That's all that it is. So in life, you've got to find out what you're good at and what you can bring to the table. And then what you've got to do is not be in Arrested Development, and you've got to get, it's like what we do all day. So you've got to not be in Arrested Development, but you've got to actually be an adult. Okay? So that's what good sales is. Just like in dating, that's what good dating is. What do we learn in dating? What is good? People that are high status, people that give good emotions, people from whom they would want validation, and people who have a better place to go. That's what they want. Okay? So what we have, so again, if you're like, no, I just want to be a gentleman, get what I want. As a kid, that's fine. He just wants to play, right? He just wants what he wants. That's cute and endearing as a kid, right? Okay? As a kid, that's cute. As an adult, not cute. It's not cute anymore. All those things as a kid that are super endearing, that's not endearing anymore, right? So, okay, you're not going to have anybody like laughing and going along with it. You're just going to creep people out. So that's the problem with like a lot of these philosophies that are not oriented on finding a win-win. It's you staying in your comfort zone. I just want what I want. I just want what I want. You know, and I'm not going to in any way find a win-win to find out what other people want and create a win-win. So what you want to do is you want to find out what it is that you have to offer that creates a win-win for other people. What does that mean? Okay? Here, we're going to come over here now, okay? Okay. Have a seat. Okay. So we've got to find out what is a win-win for other people. So what does that mean? So the first thing you've got to do is you've got to create a product or service that has value to other people, not just to you. Okay? This is the problem that a lot of guys don't understand with dating. They're like, I'm a gentleman. I have a job. That's enough, right? Like, that should be enough. It's like, they don't care, bro. They don't care at all. They don't care. So you care because it's your comfort zone. It's what you can understand. It's what your mind can wrap its head around. But then, you know, as a kid, if what he cares about is like Six Flags, that's fine as a kid that he can get that. But as an adult, you lose, and you're limited, and you're in Arrested Development. So basically what you do is find a skill that other people want or care about, and then get really, really, really good at it. Be the best if you can. Go crazy on it. Once you have that much value to other people, you can charge what you want to charge. You'll have people coming to you thanking you, people walking up to you on the street in tears, people DMing you, people emailing you, people thanking you when they pay you because you made real value. So if right now what you're doing is a basic level job and you provide some mid-level or low-level value to an employer, that's not the way. What you want to do is carve out every last little bit of spare time that you have and work on cultivating that skill like you are saving the earth, okay? If you had to save the freaking earth, what would that look like? That's number one. So that's what I did. Like, I would run live events. I would run them till noon the next day. You know why I did that? Just to practice public speaking tired. That's it. I'd get fined 10 grand a night sometimes at a hotel because they're like, why won't you leave? I'm like, just charge me whatever you want. They're like, get out now. I'm like, no, just charge me whatever you want. I get fined 10 grand literally just to keep speaking as the students are falling asleep. I just say, look, like the main curriculum's done. Like the main curriculum's done. You got what you came for, but for those of you that want to stay, I'm going to keep going. And then I would just keep going. And then I would practice public speaking. I would do videos in the freezing cold while I'm shivering and see if I could do a video blog. Okay, you'll sometimes see it like I have a guest speaker beside me and they're like shaking and stuff like, why did Owen bring me here? I hate this. And I'm like, hey guys, it's Owen. And you know, and I'm just like doing my thing. Because I'm doing that to challenge myself. I'm doing it to get better. Okay, so every single day, find that key area that you can get better. Now, what does that mean? It's a couple different things. Number one, what it means is that you try a bunch of different things. Try different things. That's number one. See what you're good at. See what motivates you. And then find an area that you can make a major, major, major impact. Okay? Then what you do is you go to town on getting mentors. You get amazing mentors. You get amazing peer groups, and you get amazing people that want to learn from you, and you just work on this area in every spare moment that you have. Eventually, you get to a point that you have enough of an income that you can leave the dead end thing and work full-time in that, and then you can get a little bit more vacation time. So, again, as an adult, you can't be running off carrot and stick mentality. You've got to be a self-motivated human being, okay? Got it? As a kid, just wanting what you want. I want to play. I want to distract the room from me. That's fine as a kid. As an adult, that doesn't work. So you've got to be on top of that. Nobody cares that you just want to get paid without bringing value to them. Nobody cares what you want. Just your mom and you. Nobody else cares. But you know who does care? You. So you've got to actually provide other people what they want in exchange for that, okay? So the main way to make money is a win-win, which means that you aim to provide about 10x the value of what you're charging. Write that down. You're aiming at a base level just to begin. You're looking for 10x the value of what you're charging. So whatever someone pays you, say that they went and worked for 10 hours to make that money, you saved them 100 hours. Or you gave them something that would have been worth 100 hours. That's the number one. Later, you want to get it to like 1,000x. My one-on-one clients that pay me enough that honestly, you'd probably hate me if I told you, those guys are terrified to lose me as their mentor. Why do you think that is? Because those guys that have a business that could be doing a couple hundred million, from the piddly amount that they're giving me by comparison, they could be making another couple hundred million. So I'm like a secret weapon for them. So even though to you guys, you might hear, oh, I could be making 25K an hour, and you're hearing that and you're like, I freaking hate you. You've got to understand that if you can provide that value to somebody whose business is doing a couple hundred million a year and you're helping to make them 2 or 3 or 400 million extra because you know the exact leverage points, now all of a sudden you're giving a deal. So you've got to be aiming to find the right audience who have money to spend and then going to frickin' town, or do what I do where you go make most of your money with them and then you do free or inexpensive people kind of as like a charity. You can do that too. So that's really what you're aiming at, okay? So that you can actually accomplish both goals. Now, going from there, after you figure that out, okay, areas that you have an unfair advantage, areas that you're passionate, and areas that you can get paid, and areas that you can kind of invest in, areas that you have a history that you can really make an impact. Then what you do is after trying different things, and also talk to your friends about what they think that you could be good at, okay? Then from there, the next thing that you're gonna do is you've got to figure out your time. So you've got to be able to carve out every last millisecond of time that you have. This means that you're going to have to get obnoxious. I'll tell you why. Because you're in a freaking trap. You're in a trap. You remember Star Wars? It's a trap. You remember that? Return of the Jedi? It's a trap. You remember that? You're in a trap. Basically, your employer wants you probably to stay at some derpy mid-level range forever as a cog in their machine. So you're working every last bit of energy that you have for your employer. There's nothing wrong with that. They've done nothing immoral. But if you choose to stay there, you're stuck. Why is it that we struggle so much to break out of that rut? Because you go to work, you wake up, you shower, you go to work, or maybe do it remotely in this stupid day and age. Then what winds up happening is you burn all your energy at work, probably doing something soul-sucking. Then you come home and you've got maybe 4 hours. You probably want to go to the gym. You probably want to read. You probably want to look at the internet. You probably want to watch something on TV. And your day is done. So how are you ever going to break out of that? You can't. That's why younger people are more likely to break out of it, because they don't have the bills, the kids, the responsibilities. Once you get older, you have so much more to lose. There is so much more to lose. It is so hard to break out of it, and you're stuck. So you've got to get to the point where if you do have rent and bills, here's your choices. A, move back in with your parents. Literally, move back in with your parents. B, move in the cheapest place you can. C, move into a friend's house and just do their dishes and then just live there and work. Or keep what you have and work in all your spare time. Now, this sounds bad, right? Oh, I'm not doing that. I'm a dignified older person. That's why most older people never break out of it. They're not willing to do that. Read about my background. Sleeping on couches, sleeping on floors, sleeping in closets, all that stuff. I did that for years. I slept on floors for years. Why? It saved cash. So then I could just work and work and work and work. I slept on floors so that I could literally go to nightclubs and bars every day. I'd go out in the daytime to work on my skill set, and then I'd go out at nighttime to work on my skill set. I was working on my skill set like 12 hours a day in many cases, 7 days a week, because I wanted to get good quick. What happened was, my background story was that I was supposed to just be like this nerdy little intern for my mentor, Mystery. And I just wanted to kind of get him the coffee and drive him around. And we spent 7 months filling programs for him. And, me and my buddy Nick, right? We spent 7 months filling programs for him. And then right before we're about to go on tour, all 7 months we spent trying to fill these programs. He's like, I'm not going. And we're like, well, why do we spend 7 months filling it? He's like, you just go teach it, right? He probably thought we wouldn't be very good at it. So we're like, man, we spent 7 months on this, like literally like half a year of our lives. And like 7 months in this day, like at age 41, that's not that long. But when you're 22, 21, 7 months is like a long time. That's like, what is that, like 5% of your life or 3% of your life or something? And we spent that filling this thing. So we're like, we're going to go teach this stuff. So literally we called everybody. So we said, look, we're not even very good at this. You know, we learned it, but we're not even very good. But, you know, we don't want to cancel it. So if you want us still to do it, let us know. And like 80% of people still wanted to do it. And then as a result of that, we built our whole business on customer service because we weren't that good. So we built it all on customer service. And again, it wasn't about us showing how great we were, but we were just shoving people in and getting them during interactions. We couldn't really demonstrate, like, you know, I could probably I got like way better results than they did, but it wasn't the greatest results overall back when I was 22 years old. But what I did was I was just so attentive on the students. They loved it. They loved it better than the best programs on the market, and that's how we built our brand. But I knew that I want to get better, so what I did was that in every millisecond that I had, I was going out, and putting up numbers on the scoreboard, so to speak, and I was doing that because I wanted to actually get better so that I could be a real teacher in this. So that's what I did. So once I made the commitment that I was going to go all in, I just worked morning, noon, and night on my skill set, on public speaking, and on my infield skill set. And for any of you who have ever seen any of my infield stuff, you see me doing that. That's the result of thousands and thousands and thousands of reps and me doing that and getting better at it and fighting and clawing for the next paradigm and the next skill is really what you guys saw. Okay? Now, going from there, once you pick that thing that you want, the basic way that you do it is you've got to audit. What auditing means is you've got to look at everything that it is that you have going for you. So the basic thing that you got to understand right off the bat is for any of you here, if you're not where you want to be in life and you're in sort of like a bad rut, you've got to understand you're in a trap. Just say the word, I'm in a trap. You are more in trouble than you know. You are in very, very, very deep trouble. Now, here's what I mean by this. So what that means, just repeat after me. I'm in a trap. Okay, you're in a freaking trap. You will not get out. None of you are getting out. None of you are getting out. Because there's too many perks. They got you. Too many perks. I'm not moving back in my parents. I'm not carpooling. I'm not going to a restaurant, right? You're in a trap. You can't get out. They gotcha. So understand that if you're in a basic day-to-day 9 to 5, let's break down the time. Wake up at 7, derp around for a bit, get to work by 8:30, work from 8:30 till 5, drive home. Now you're home at like 6:30. Maybe you want to go to the gym, read a book, or look at a podcast, and now you got to go to bed. Where are you going to build anything? How is this ever going to happen? Now, as you get older, you have children. What are you going to tell your kids? What would I tell Dylan? Oh, hey, Dylan. Here, come here. Okay, Dylan. So, come here. Okay, we're going to move out of our houses, okay? And we're going to go live on our grandparents' couches. Okay? And no more toys. And no more Six Flags. And basically, no more good food. Okay, I'm just kidding. Come on. How about? No, he just died. Okay, you see that? He's dead now, okay? Okay, he's literally dead. Okay? Okay, so once you have kids, it's over, okay? So you've got to get it to where ideally you do this before you have kids. But, okay, I was completely kidding, by the way. He knows that. So you've got to do it before you have kids. But if you don't do it before you have kids, then you're going to have to scrape it together. And what that means is like, you've got to really, really lock in at what it is that you're good at, and you've got to find the time. So you've got to do deep, deep auditing, and you've got to fight and claw and scrape. Now, by the way, let me tell you something. I was dumb enough to actually go into an industry that was maybe not the best, money-wise, in the sense that it caused me a lot of grief. And so I've been shut down a solid 3 times now. Shut down hard. In other words, everything I have, gone, ruined, and in debt. I have been financially ruined multiple times. And when I get financially ruined, and I've done that with kids, okay? It's happened to me in the recession in 2009, Happened to me again in 2014. You probably remember what happened there. You probably didn't know I got financially ruined, but I was for many years. And then I got financially ruined again in 2018, and then again in 2020. So it's actually happened to me 4 solid times, and it's really bad. So because of that, I had to learn how to rebuild at insane, stupid rates, okay? And I got so good at rebuilding that y'all don't even know when I rebuild. You're like, I don't know, it's just the same thing, right? You can't even find my homepage anymore. But people never even realize that, okay? Go look up my homepage, you can't even find it. So at the end of the day, what you basically have is this, okay? I've been ruined before. Once I get ruined, okay, because I'm dumb, basically I taught something I believe in, and I told the truth. And when you tell the truth in 2020, get ready and buckle up, baby, okay? Because, you know what they say, right? When 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4, you know where you're at. So from that same, okay, so got a little Orwell in there, right? So you know where we're at. Going from that basic level standpoint, I've paid the price for that. It is what it is, and I had to get back quick. What do you think I do? When I basically get contracted like that, I go in the exact same mode that you guys do if you're starting. Nothing changes. Oh, except for me, I might have $1 million a month in payroll and bills. So I have to learn how to do that quick. So I've got to know how to raise that kind of capital really, really fast. And including when I've had resources stripped away. So I got to the point where I had to literally get to the point where I was like, kill me. Like my inner dialogue, if you would have seen it these times, is like, you don't even want to know what it looks like. Like, it's like me, I'm like, kill me, throw it and don't stop. What do you got? Like, I look like an insane person. I'm like, throw it all. Nothing will stop me. Like, it's to the point where I'm literally saying, like, you will have to kill me. I will never stop. Because I'm so tired. I'm so burnt out. I've had no time for myself. And all that I do, like, I'm not a working person. I am work. You understand? I'm not even a human. I'm not a human. I'm not a human. And I'm like, I am a spear. I'm a sharpened spear. I will fly through the concrete wall. Like, I'm like, literally, like, that's like my thing. Like, people see me and I'm like that. And I'll look like that for 1 year to 2 years straight when I had to rebuild. It's like being in a dream. Because I've just had a lot, because look, I had a vision, okay, here's what it was. I remembered what it was like to not understand the subject matter that I taught. And there was nowhere good in the industry to learn it that I was satisfied with, even though I did have great mentors, but it wasn't really what I wanted to have out there. And that bothered me. And so I said to myself, I'm gonna go out and go out and go out and go out until I solve this, and then I'm gonna make it such a good business that other people wanna join, and I'm gonna get other people to join, and I'm literally gonna take this like kind of edgy topic, and I'm gonna do big, huge crowds, and I'm gonna do really high production budgets, and I'm gonna make this into like a cool thing, and eventually what'll happen is we're gonna get taken down, but other people seeing us do it will start doing it, and then they'll take the mantle. And that was always my plan. So because I knew what was coming, right? Everybody was always like it was so funny to me as I was doing that people thought that could continue forever. I was like, you're so delusional that you think that this is gonna get to continue forever. You can't just tell the truth on this ongoing basis in this day and age. And everybody knew that. So it doesn't mean that I knew the ultimate truth. I'm not saying that, but you can't like endeavor to tell the truth unless it's just what the establishment wants. And what they want is what's in their advantage. So basically what you have is I was in that mode, and I knew that other people would take the mantle, and I was ready to die. I was like, if I get shot, if I get killed, I don't care. That was my mode, because I was like, I'd rather die but get this out than not have it come out. So literally that was the mode that I was in. And I just worked and worked and worked. So whenever I'm telling you, look, that was the decision that I went to, because I was just like, why be just another person who just lives another boring life? Why not be the person who actually helped to solve this so that every person in the future would have this information forever and ever, right? Because once you've got that out, you can't put that away. Like, once I went out and I recorded all that, you can't make that go away. You might be able to make that go away in certain places, but it never goes away. You can never unsee what we've shown you. You can never see the things that we've shown you and unsee them. It's impossible to unsee them. So for me, that was where I was coming from. I'm like, I'd rather just have all these problems that I knew were inevitable, but just literally just go for it. You ever see the movie Gattaca, and Vincent swimming in the ocean with his brother, and then his brother's genetically superior to him because he got genetically engineered, but then the supposed inferior one that wasn't genetically engineered is swimming ahead, and his brother says, Vincent, how are you doing this? How are you doing this? He says, you know what? I never had a plan for the way back. And that was me. I never had a plan for the way back. I'm like, I don't care what happens. kill me, throw me away, I don't care. This is coming out and you can't undo it. And I knew that. And my greatest impact is yet to come because the best stuff I ever did is even out. Okay, 5 years of it, and that's not even out. So the thing is that, okay, so that'll come out when it's good and ready, probably when I'm dead, but the bottom line is this. Literally, that was my mission. So I understood when people came at us, I would make it look like nothing's happening, like everything was cool, and I would work and work to the point that I'm like, I am work. People would look at me and be like, hey, want to go to a movie? I'm like, and it would sound like Charlie Brown, like, murr, 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 murr. It was Charlie Brown talk, murr, 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 murr. And I would just go around and be like that, and just go to the next thing. Next thing, 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 next thing. Read, research, study, read. And I just did that. Now, the result of that was it taught me how to get after it in a big way. So it changed my nervous system to where I can lock it in focus from when I wake up until when I go to bed. That's easy for me to do. Anybody who's been at seminars with me, you know that I can keep going and going and going, and it looks a little bit freaky. That's how I learned that stuff. I also learned it from being out in nightclubs and going boom, 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 just for hours and hours. So I became a machine. Now, again, you could look at that and say, well, that's not what I want. When you have an opportunity to make history and to do something powerful, look, some people hate it, some people like it. I don't really care. I just know my life. I can't, interpret it for some random person who doesn't even know me. But when you have a chance to do something great, in my mind, it doesn't matter even if you die. Because you got to be the person to bring that to life. It's like a mother will give their life for their child, right? For many of us, our entrepreneurial pursuits to get that out, we give our lives for that. So I understood that. Now, going from that same standpoint, from there, when I get beaten down, I've got to come back quick. That means that every millisecond of my day has to be accounted for. That means that I've got to be auditing how much time I'm spending in the shower, how much time I'm spending eating in the morning, how much time I'm spending looking at the phone, how much time I'm spending taking a crap, how much time every single thing is taking, all of it. And what that's going to do is you're just fighting and clawing to free up time resources. Fighting and clawing and fighting and clawing for those time resources. It's just like time. It's like you're thirsty, you're hungry for it. I need more time. I need more time. That's all that you're thinking. You're just gangstering it out, trying to get to that point. That doesn't mean your whole life is going to be like that, but it means that a part of your life is going to be like that. And remember, for some of us, it's not just about leisure, it's about making an impact. And if you see that opportunity and people are trying to stop you, you've got to run through the frickin' wall, okay? Because when you're going to change, when you're going to bring beauty into the world, honestly, there's going to be so many people that will reframe that as disgust and come after you, and you're like, no! And you become like, you just sharpen and you just become more aerodynamic and you pierce through everything to the point you become like Godzilla. Anything that comes at you is just feeding you. Negativity, hatred, attacks, financial bankruptcy, anything, no matter what it is. Like Nelson Mandela being put in jail for, I think it was 27 years. It's just feeding you, feeding you, feeding you, feeding you, feeding you, feeding you. And you start to want it. You're like, yes, punch me, kill me, kill me, kill me, and you just go. And you're saying that not because you want to die. I don't want to die. Nobody wants to die, though, I hope. But you're to the point where so many people wish ill on you that you're just like, do it. Because if you know you're about to get cold water dumped on your head, you're just like, do it then, right? That's the point that you get to. So I just woke up every single minute I accounted for. And what I could do, I could carve out 2 hours here, 3 hours there, et cetera, et cetera. Then what I did simultaneously was I learned how to take a break, but almost like someone who doesn't get to sleep, they have what's called a micro sleep. I learned how to get micro breaks. So like, I could be in the middle of this now, and then just sit down, and I'm like, hey! And I'm back on, okay? And then just like, okay, lower the cortisol, back on. That's the mode that I'm coming from. So in other words, like, I can get, like, people, they take a break, but their cortisol doesn't go down. So I'm like, because all that you need the break for is just to lower your cortisol, just to lower inflammation. So it's like cold plunge, sauna, piles of active recovery. Just like, okay, I got an hour off. You're not going to sit there getting drunk. You jump in a cold plunge pool, sauna, maybe you get a massage, whatever the freaking thing you got to do. Back at it. Now, look, the result of this, in my case, I had something that I wanted to do, not because it would make me happier necessarily, but because I was so angry that I had to suffer when I was younger, and I knew that nobody else was going to stick up for the demographic of people that I wanted to help. Nobody was going to do it in this day and age, right? See, anybody can stand up for the trendy thing in this day and age and pretend they're behind a cause. Try going behind something that's not popular and that's misunderstood, right? And even when you say it's misunderstood, people are like, so-and-so claims they're misunderstood. No, they're not. But no, you are. And so that's the thing, is like, that was my headspace at the time. I would have died for it. Now, going from that basic standpoint, look, maybe that's not what you want. You probably not. Maybe only 1 or 2 people here. Maybe if I put out a video, people would feel that way. But you do want to build a life that you want, and you don't want to get stuck in mediocrity. So what you've got to do at that point is just cut every last little bit of time. Not because you don't deserve it. Look, I'm not even telling you to stop doing your dead-end job. If you like it, do it. But if you don't like it and you want to weigh out, you've got to rapidly try different things quickly, and then freaking pick something. Pick something. Pick something, right? All these people you see in self-growth, they're like, well, maybe I like this, maybe I like that. I just feel like grabbing and just being like, bang, bang. I'm never going to do it. I'll never hurt anybody, but just like, bang. Just like, how's that feel? That's how you're making me feel. Pick something. Like, well, I don't know. I don't know. Well, then guess what? You're never going to get anywhere, because at some point you got to pick. Passionate as you were about your thing. How did you know? I'm like, it wasn't about that. At some point you have to bring the passion to it. It's like a marriage. You dream about this marriage, you just wake up every day rock hard, ready to go. That's not reality. You got to psych yourself into it. Over time, it has ups and downs. So psych yourself into it. You've got to also bring the passion. Pick something that you're passionate about, but bring the passion. Then from there, carve out the time. This means ongoing auditing. Audit, 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 all the time. So what you've got to have is like, and like we talked about earlier in the event, here is exactly what I want. You know exactly what you want. Then what you start doing is auditing everything that it is that you could be doing, okay? You just audit all of it. Now, I'm going to give you a couple examples, and these will be some things you want to audit. I'm going to write this down. I'm going to say this out literally just for precision, okay? So you can pop that up for me. So to be very, very precise, I'm going to just read this right off a list, which I wrote down for you, of the kind of things that you want to be auditing, but we're going to go way, 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 way deeper. So let's do it, okay? You don't even need to write it down. I'll get this to you in notes, okay? Time capital, emotional capital, thought capital, energetic capital, skills capital, network capital, social media capital, social skills capital. Let's look at that on time capital. I'll get you this list later. Don't worry. You'll have the same list I'm reading off of, but if you want to write more notes, you can. How to use every minute of your day. When you wake up, how long does it take you to get out of bed? How long does it take you to get moving? What's your morning routine look like? When you go to bed, how long does it take you to unwind? Remember when I just sat here? That kind of thing. How long does it take you to get your day moving in your morning routine? How long does it take you to unwind? How long does it take you to actually fall asleep? A lot of us, we're like, oh, I need to be in bed by 11. So then you get to bed by 11:05, but it really takes you to fall asleep. That doesn't count. Okay? How long does it take you to make money? How long does it take you to commute, to go to the bathroom, to eat? How long does it take you to get to the place where you eat? Gym, meditation, reading, shopping, friends, dating, intimacy, relationships. Where's that time going? Emotional capital. What percentage are you in an emotionally resourceful state? What percentage are you being fueled by resourceful emotions? What percentage are you being fueled by depleting emotions? Thought capital. This is massive. The way most people are using their mental thought, like their thought capital, is such a waste of time. They will never do anything. They will be trapped forever. They're never getting out. They'll be in there forever. Now, thought capital. How much of your thoughts are productive? How much are uplifting? In other words, could be like funny or fun. How much is educational versus how much is excessive looping, complaining, gossiping, just thoughts pulling you around like a puppet string, or feeding negative energy. And if you look at most of your friends, they are in loops that are designed to entrap them. They are in mental thought prisons. Okay, next up, energetic capital. What are you eating? How much you sleep? How much are you involved in proactive recovery? Spiritual renewal. Passion capital. How much can you find things that get you paid that you like? What do you like to do that's learning but it doesn't feel like a chore? That's a real capital. What would you enjoy mentoring people in that doesn't feel like a chore? And by the way, you can't say nothing. Okay? Nothing. Nothing. That means you're garbage. That means you're garbage. Generate the passion. It's always a combination of, yes, you like doing it, but at some point you have to generate the passion. Like any human would, instead of me being up here speaking, I could be downstairs eating Cheetos and putting my Cheeto in a hole, if you know what I'm saying. And I don't need to be here, but I have to make that passion, okay? So just going from that same standpoint, okay, you've got to actually generate the passion into it, but also realize that there's things that you're more naturally inclined to be passionate about, okay? For a lot of people, it could even just be making money. Some people just love money. They just sit there, look like Scrooge McDuck. They just look at their cash, and that brings them joy. Not me, but some people do. For me, money's a means to an end. But for some people, if you just like staring at bills, then you're fine. And other people need something that actually has an impact or some outcome or means to an end. Just depends where you're at. I'd encourage you to evolve beyond that point, but if you're at that point, embrace it. Next up, skills capitals, strength capitals. What natural strengths do you have that you're wired with? What are some skills that you have that other people would pay you for? What are skills that you can quickly improve on and charge people money for? What are skills that could be sharpened to the point that people would pay if you invest in those skills? What are you passionate about learning that you could realistically charge for? Networking capital. What types of friends do you have? What kind of friends do you have that are spiritually renewing? What kind of friends do you have that you have a shared history with that is meaningful to you? What are some people that you're mentoring that you actually enjoy mentoring? What are people you enjoy learning from? What are some attractive single people who you could actually introduce to others to build connections, right? A lot of time you go to high-level business owners, you want to network with them, introduce them with people they'd want to date. Easy. All the skills I've taught you over the years, put it into practice. It's not just for you. It's also for networking too. Look, who should be free mentors for you? Who should be paid mentors for you? Who should be peers that you inspire? Who are people you can help? Next up, social media capital. How many followers do you have? You can be flat broke and still get followers. That's a list. You can charge for that. Gary Vaynerchuk emphasizes that. What's the quality of followers that you have on various platforms? What can you do to get more quality and quantity of followers? Social skills capital. You can use social skills and charisma to generate profit and power for yourself. It's called being a connector. How easily and quickly can you meet new people? For those of you guys coming on trainings with me for that, it's not just for dating. How easily can you make connections with people, but also for people? Do you have container events? Any of you that are broke can still make a container event. Do you realize that? Any of you that are broke can still make a container event. Now, okay, so what that means is, look, even if you're broke, you can build a list in a topic. Even if you're broke, you can do a container or networking event that you run. So why aren't you doing that? But again, have you guys ever heard me say that I sometimes mentor people for free? You ever heard me say that? I do. I mentor people for free. When someone has a giant group of network capital, like when somebody does, I have friends that are flat broke, but they'll create an awesome container event. People come to me, they're like, they have this dream fantasy that I'm going to mentor them and they're going to be the free person that I mentor. Like, I might mentor one person for free at a time in a year, but I'll really do that. But it's somebody who's maybe built a social media following, is doing parties, is doing container events, is learning things about sales. They're doing every single thing they can that is in their power to do. And then if they've built that, then I know that whatever energy I put into them, that they're already in momentum and that I'm going to in some way get that back. So keep that in mind as well. Like, people are waiting for this weird free handout. That's not healthy. That's Arrested Development mentality. That's a child's mentality. Can I have a Jolly Rancher? That's fine as a kid. That's not fine as an adult. That's why I wanted my kid to be in the video, so you could see what it looks like as a child. But as an adult, that doesn't work. Okay? You can build your social intelligence. You can build your social awareness. You can put yourself in a good mood. There's all these things that you can do to make yourself valuable to people that can help you. Then what you should do is, by the way, use what you learn from that person to make a bit of money, and then even though they're rich and you're poor, pay for them to go to dinner. Buy them stuff. Ironically, when you meet up with them and they buy you dinner, it winds up looking like you're not that star mentee. Okay? So remember, I probably paid for 99% of every table's meal since I'm 20 years old. Okay, keep that in mind. And many of those people had a lot more cash than I did. And by the way, when I'm broke, that's when I especially paid for people's meals. Okay? Now if you're so broke that you're going to starve to death, then get yourself the meal, okay? Someone could take that a little too seriously. Now, continuing on. Learning empathy level skills, right? Social skills capitals, container events, knowing how to create a good story, knowing how to meet other people, knowing how to connect people, all that stuff is really, really good. Spiritual capital, to what extent do you feel fed by the universe day to day? Can you open up that renewing spiritual energy so that you have a sort of a transcendent vibe? In other words, nothing's stopping you from being a meditator, even when you're broke, and being very, very present so that you have a healing energy. You can do that even when you're broke. And likewise, learning basic sales skills, right? Sales capital, how to get in front of the right people, right? Lead base, knowing how to do calls to action, knowing how to frame a deal, knowing how to deploy what it is that you have to offer. Knowledge capital, what basic level of knowledge you have. Start auditing that, okay? Then what you've got to do is you've got to start seeking out a way to get an ROI from those things. You've got to start seeking out ways to optimize and monetize those things. And eventually you got to seek out ways to scale those things. And everything that you're doing here in this list, you have to learn how every minute of your day that's not spending relaxing and recovering proactively, which you do need as well, including sleep, has to basically be done to support those capitals and to eventually monetize those capitals. Learn to get an ROI, learn to optimize, and eventually learn to scale. You've got to be relentlessly looking for lanes to deploy them. And then what you've got to do is help other people to accomplish their goals, and your success will be proportional to your ability to help other people, but specifically the right people, not empty buckets, okay? We'll see if we can find a way to get this over to everybody as a list. So what I mean from there is the following. Right off the bat, look, if you're happy with your life, then keep living it. I don't care. I'm not telling you to do what I did, okay? Look, let me give a couple points here, okay? You ever see the movie The Last Dance? You ever see that? Last Dance with Michael Jordan. It's a Netflix series or something, okay? All right. Do you remember that part with Scottie Pippen where he was really getting exploited financially? And so I think it was his 6th season. He didn't want to really play or re-sign with the Bulls for their 6th championship. You guys remember that? Okay, let me ask you a question. Who here in the room, if for 6 years you weren't getting paid fairly, but you had a chance to make history in the 6th championship, but you're still getting paid decent, it's not like Pippen was broke. It just wasn't fair because he deserved so much more. Who here would just take the bite financially and go for the 6th championship? But remember too, you're not even Jordan, right? You're Pippen, so you're big time, big time, but you're still not Jordan though. And who here would say, no, I want to get paid. I want to get paid what I deserve. I'm not doing the 6th championship unless I get paid what I deserve. Who here would say, I'll go for the 6th ring? Who here would say, I want to get paid what I'm rightfully deserve? Who here would go for the 6th ring? Who here would go for getting paid what you rightfully deserve? Okay, so it's about maybe around half and half, whatever it is. For me, I'd go for the 6th ring, and I'll tell you why. Because that is such a rare opportunity that you've got to understand. There's nothing that you can do with money that's as good as making history in my mind. And so that was me in my content was, even if I die for this, it doesn't matter because I got to be the person who got to be an important role in this movement and to make history. That was my mindset. So for some of you in here, there could be something like, for example, maybe Elon Musk wants to be on that first ship that goes to Mars because he wants to make history. He'll probably die doing that, but he gets to make history. And when you think about it, financially, there's really no financial reward that's as good as that for a lot of people, depending on what your core values are. Maybe your core values are family or leisure. It just depends, right? I like family, I like leisure, but if you can make history for all humanity, to me, that's the most powerful thing you can do. That's how I feel. You may feel different. That's my values. You have yours. But for most of you, I don't think you're going to have to go to that length. For most of you, what you're trying to do is build a really kick-ass life that's really fun, really cool, and you can do what you want, okay? So I went down that path that I did specifically because I sort of had that rare, once-in-a-generation opportunity that I kind of stumbled into, and I'm not wasting it. That was my mindset. We're not going to waste this, right? A lot of people were just in it for the cash. As soon as the cash would drop for even a millisecond, they'd run off. Then the cash would come back, and they'd ask to come back. I'd say no. And then, it was kind of a lot of ups and downs, right? So that would happen as well. But for me, it was about this rare opportunity to do something big. That was my mindset. So I committed everything to it. For most of you, hopefully you won't have to go to those extreme levels. But what I do want is for you to design your life proactively and say what you want. Now, here's the main key. Here's where money becomes excessive, and here's where making money is correct in my view. Money is excessive when the happiness or impact that you can make has diminishing returns. So in other words, money will not buy you happiness. It will not. You will not be happier when you have more money. But money is a resource that you can use for like a lot of really cool stuff, okay? So, thank you, bro. So coming from that standpoint, I have many friends that are rich that are dead. I have friends that are rich that commit suicide. I have friends that are rich that have overdosed on drugs. You guys probably know some are famous. You've seen all that, okay? Oh, thanks. So, thank you, bro. So, you guys have seen that. So, money does not make you happy. Even a lot of my friends that are filthy rich will go on and on and on about how money makes them happy, but even when you look at their face, they are unhappy with what they're doing. They're just like, ha ha ha, yeah, I got money, I'm so happy for it. And then, like, at night, they just cry themselves to sleep. So, money's not gonna inherently make you happy. But at the same time, you've also gotta be aware, what is it in your finance that is gonna get you to where you live a great life? So try to see the difference here between, there's 3 layers to it. One layer is called apathy. Say that word, apathy. Apathy. Okay, so apathy is where you're just too much of a lazy moron to take the bulls by the horn. Worst version of that is when people cry victim, by the way. You know, like, oh, I would totally just go like I would totally go do all those things Owen talked about, but I'm a victim, right? Like, the reason I didn't do all that is because I'm a victim. It's like, no, you're not doing all that because you aren't ready or built like that to do all that yet. So we should really just have a conversation about how to get you there. But they don't want to, they're not ready. They're stuck in that because it's just a way to get out of it. So what you want to do is design your own life in a way where you're not just being apathetic. So get crystal freaking clear on your life exactly what you want it to look like. Exactly and specifically what it is that you want it to look like. Then what you got to do is you've got to audit your whole day, look at it top to freaking bottom, and then ask yourself, how can I get to that point? And all the clients that I work with, including the guys making hundreds of mils, these guys, they're never clear on it. It's so funny. Like, they have all these ephemeral dreams, but if you do the math by looking at your day, you're never going to make it to where you're thinking. It's this like ephemeral coping mechanism of things that aren't going to happen. And you're using your dreams as coping mechanism, not as reality. So here's what I'm going to have you do, okay? Get in your groups, and every single one of you, what I need you to do is I need you to audit your entire day. What an entire day looks like, whether it's over a week or your day. And I want you to look at every person that you spend your time with, every piece of media that you consume, every idea that loops in your brain, how you're getting paid, where you're making your money, where you're working on the business, where you're working in the business, not on the business, if you're in a business. Every influence, everything you ingest, every piece of food you ingest, media you ingest, energy from a friend that you ingest, and all the time that you're using. What energies are you taking in, whether in the form of media or friends or moods or whatever, spiritual stuff, all that, and then basically do a very, very deep audit of where your time is going. Then show me how you can carve out 6 hours a day. And that's not going to be easy, but you're going to need that 6 hours a day if you have a basic level job to be able to build something. So so that magic number is 6 hours a day. 6 hours a day, and you got to have probably a day off here or there. So 6 hours a day, you're probably looking at about 36 hours a week to try to build something. Okay? Which is really not even enough. That's not even enough. Oh, no, you're in a trap. But you just got to do it anyway, okay? It's like Star Wars. It's a trap. Remember that? Third Star Wars? It's a trap. Okay? You're flying in the freaking trap. So what we're going to do now is we're going to unwire the trap. All those corporate interests that want to make you a battery for their agenda, you're literally like a battery in there, and you're going to do like your battery flex. You're going to be like, and you're going to like pull the side, like the things to the side. You know, you're going to like, if you're like a Duracell battery, you're going to go like that, and like the little metal hinge is going to like that, and then you're going to like roll down the road and escape. Okay? And you're going to be like, well, I escaped, right? And then now that you escape, you got to do something. Because before, there was at least a purpose there. Okay? So now you have freedom, and freedom is scary. So we've got to get really, really clear on that. See, this event here, this is not about some rah-rah thing. This is actually terrifying. This event's not meant to be inspiring. This event is meant to be scary. So the advantage of that is that on the other side of scary is victory. So what that means is that, again, we've gone over earlier exactly what we want your life to look like. That is not being some self-sacrificing martyr character like I just sort of self-described. It could be for maybe one of you. I was just trying to describe where I came from. It is not meant to be something all about money, unless you're one of those like Scrooge McDuck types that just loves paper, in which case I have friends like that. It's super cool. But if you're not that, it's about you building a life that you want. That means finding things that you want to do that are fun, like cool hobbies that you like to do. Broaden your hobbies that you want. Do you want to whitewater raft? Do you want to go hiking deep in the outdoors? Do you want to do you want to go hunting? Do you want to go traveling? Do you want to play certain sports? Do you want to have time with family? Like, what do you want fun-wise? And then what do you want for something that challenges you and becomes a kind of iron sharpens iron, this sort of arena in which you can grow and come into higher paradigms and come into the maximization of your fullest potential and really a refinement and blossoming of your character. So that's really what we're getting at here, okay? So get in your groups now and show me how you're gonna carve out 6 hours a day by just, look, you know what you're like right now? You're like a business owner whose business is going down, like what I've had to be. And we have to sit there poring over our numbers and going, but we don't want to cancel that service. That would be horrible. I can't. And then we're like, yank it, and you're just like, oh, no. This deep into it after this many years, we're going to have to do that ourselves now? Got to do it, baby. Got to do it. So that, like right now, maybe you deserve to be able to go to Starbucks. You work hard. You deserve a Starbucks, right? But if you do the math and you're like, wait a minute, it's like 15 minutes to walk to Starbucks, it's 7 minutes to wait in line, you drink it for 10 minutes, and it's 15 minutes back. You do the math on those hours, that could be 45 minutes a day. You do the math on that times 365, and ask yourself that one key question. What's the biggest question I told you guys to ask yourself this whole seminar?
What else?
What else? What else could you do with those like 300 hours, right? You want, at the end of the year, do you want that you drank a bunch of Starbucks, or do you want those 300 hours towards something massive, okay? And that's what like this year, even in COVID, running a seminars company that relies on seminars and bars and clubs, I literally was still able to rebuild my business using Zoom and literally went to all the most killer, awesome spots this year. Do you guys watch my Instagram story and see the spots that I went to? I figured out how to do that in the middle of COVID, running a seminars company, right? And people will see me and they'll go, oh, like, yeah, you're just like one of those people that could ride out COVID. I'm like, do you not know that my business has the word social in the name? In a world of social distancing, and that we run seminars, my old business, right? And we run seminars and in-person stuff and all over the world and bars and clubs, and like you think that this was easy street for me, but you don't see me crying about it. What was the first videos that I put out during lockdown? I said, guys, we're gonna be fine, and don't be afraid. You remember the video I put out? I had that little clip from the movie Apocalypto. Do you guys remember that, about the dad says, don't be afraid? So I had more reason to be afraid than almost anybody as far as my life. But even then, I said, I'm not gonna be afraid. I'm gonna use all those skills that I've learned, and I'm gonna fight through. So I'm right there in the grind with you guys. I shouldn't be after 20 years, but I have been repeatedly because I chose to work in an edgy industry, because we got hammered, because we had to bounce back. So that being the case, I've been right there with you. I'm right in there in the mud. Okay, I'm with you. I'm not sitting here like 65 years old. My videos are not me sitting just in seminar rooms in a suit, right? My videos are me back in the day when I was able to do it in the field as much as I could, in nature, around people. I'm in there in the mud with you, okay? I don't like just going to like the fancy gym. I like going to like the rough gym where there's guys in there that are rough and that I argue with. Like, that's just my personality. Like, I like argue with the guys who are the bench press, okay? Like, that's normal for me. I like being out in the club and grinding it out at 3 in the morning. You're like, just me like hammering it to the bitter end. It's like 5 in the morning and nothing went for me. And I'm just like in there, just like grinding it out. You're like, Owen? I'm like, right? Like, I like that, okay? That's okay? I like being in the mud, okay? I've embraced it. It's in my nervous system. So stop wishing for things to be easier and wish to get better. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, don't wish to be easier, wish to get better. I'm showing you the exact blueprint and truth about success that I use many, many times over to get back on my feet, okay? So again, right in our exercise, every single thing that you're doing to use your time on, energy on, thoughts on, all the different capitals. We're going to get that to you in a little group. Like, we're going to figure that out in a minute. We'll post it or something. We'll get it all down for you. Get in your groups, get this down, and then look, on the other side of this, rather than having to compress your time soon, you're going to have more time. Because you want me to tell you another thing? A lot of my billionaire friends, they just gallivant around, and at this point, they've got so much cash that their version of work is they go to Burning Man. I'm not in this personally, but they get high, get a little stock tip, and then they make another 100 million in a day. So if you want to get to that point, you've got to get over to that other side of it. But don't wish that you're one of those people that had rich parents and just hand it to you, and they're soft, and they're weak, and they're a freaking human joke. Rather, what you should do is want to be like that first generation of raiders that went out and got it, okay? So you are the beginning of that intergenerational wealth. Think of it in those frameworks, rather than just being the person that just got it easy, okay? So hop up you get in the groups, get focused, get motivated, get writing,